Well, thank you for coming out and making space in your Saturday to talk about this project. It's really, really important. So I'm happy folks could make it a part of their day. We're not going to take too much time doing introductions. I just wanted to say, for those of you who don't know, I'm Councilmember Carol Fife, the council member for District 3. And we got some important work to do today. I know there's some people who don't understand the positions that I've been taking around the development at the ballpark, but if anybody knows anything about me, if you don't know, what I find to be lacking in some of the decisions that are made with people who have a position of power is lack of input from the community. So in everything that I do, you're gonna see me go overboard on trying to get community input and listen to what people are saying, especially the people who are going to be directly impacted by the decisions that I make. And so take it or leave it, that's who I am, that's what I'm about. And I think it's really, really important to do deep listening, especially on these hardest, toughest decisions. So without further ado, I want to thank my staff. I was saying walking in, I was getting compliments on just how amazing my staff is. So thank you, Tanya Love, my chief of staff. She's going to be helping me with us with this today. We have Jyoti on comms. Don't move your fingers because I see you're working. Thank you. And then we have Justin Tomblesi. A lot of you all know him because he is our community liaison for District 3. And if you are not on our newsletter, I definitely need some support over here because some folks didn't know that this was happening today. So if you are not signed up for our newsletter, make sure you do that. We got your information so we can reach out to you too. I'm done talking. I'm going to start my listening. So I'm going to pass it over to my chief of staff, Tanya.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm just going to start with a brief introduction about what this Howard Terminal project is. And assuming most of you know what's going on. They just want to build a stadium in Oakland. They want to stay in Oakland. And they want to do it near the Howard Terminal project. So just a brief description. The project site consists of approximately 55 acres that comprise the Charles P. Howard Terminal and adjacent parcels, which is located at the Port of Oakland along the inner harbor of Oakland Alameda Estuary. This site is bound generally by the Oakland Estuary Middle Harbor on the south, Jack London Square on the east, Union Pacific Railroad tracks and Embarcadero West on the north, and then the heavy metal recycling center, Schnitzer Steel, on the west. It's going to entail construction of a 35,000 person capacity Major League Baseball park for the Oakland A's. It's going to have up to 1.77 million square feet of commercial development, up to 3,000 residential dwelling units, a new hotel with approximately 400 rooms, and a new performance venue with a capacity of approximately 3,500 individuals. So that's huge, right? They're thinking of practically having a new community almost in that Jack London Howard Terminal area. So up to date, there has been the start of the negotiation process. The city and Oakland A's have been meeting, I think, for the past almost 2 years now, is that correct? And the city council has introduced what's called a term sheet, where basically they have a list of some quote-unquote demands that comes from this project. That term sheet was initially passed in July of 2021, and it has been updated since February of 2022. A lot of the things that are in the term sheet around community benefits are what we're going to be discussing today. There was also an environmental review process where at the beginning, stakeholders and businesses and community groups and even residents submitted their concerns and their questions about what's going on environmentally with the process. That also was a long, almost 2-year process, and that has actually been completed, and the city council voted to approve the environmental review in February of this year. Now, moving forward, I think there is another body, the Environmental Shore Bay, BCDC, which is a commission that's looking after the shores, the Bay Area shores. They still have to make a decision on whether or not to approve the project. They made an initial decision about putting it off for review, but I think they're gonna make a final decision in June.
Your advisory panel just voted the day before yesterday, no.
Okay, so this gentleman is saying the advisory panel voted the day before yesterday, no.
It remains Port of Oakland property.
It's going to remain a Port of Oakland property, but on the news, I think a final decision would be June, as far as I know. After that, the city and the A's are still negotiating, but they're gonna try to present a final community benefits process. I think they're going to introduce a plan. The city has worked with some consultants to kind of flesh out the final community benefits process. That proposal is going to be introduced hopefully sometime in April, which is why we're meeting with you now. So we can get some final suggestions from the community. And then the city's going to continue working on the development agreement, which hopefully will get started sometime this summer. So that's where we are in the process. So today, we want to get some information from you around the community benefits. And what I'm going to do is talk about this sheet that we are sharing with you today. And first of all, I just want to acknowledge that we have some city staff that are working on the Power Terminal project. Ms. Veronica Cummings over here. She's here to take notes, and she put together this lovely sheet for you guys. So let's give her a hand. Thank you, Veronica. So I'm just gonna go over this sheet real quick, and then after we go over the sheet, we're gonna allow you guys an opportunity to talk to Councilmember Fire, okay? So, the Waterfront Ballpark District, this is a community benefit summary sheet. It's gonna consist of a community fund, right? They're gonna set aside, well, the project in some way, shape, or form is gonna set aside a community fund, which we'll use to pay for community benefits, right? So right now, the fund is expected to raise up to $411 million over the life of the year, the 66-year lease that the A's is trying to have with the city of Oakland. It's going to be partially funded by the Port Social Justice Trust Fund, which will contribute about $10 million specifically for workforce development. The city and county enhanced infrastructure financing district, which is going to be surrounding the project, it's supposed to contribute $50 million, and that's specifically going towards affordable housing. The city and the A's negotiated an agreement that in lieu of the A's having to pay a transportation impact fee, they're going to contribute funds, $11 million for unrestricted use. So that can be used for anything over 66 years. $11 million that the A's is going to contribute over 66 years. So I want you to remember that $11 million that the A's is going to contribute. Then there's going to be condo sales transfer fee, right? So when they're going to build supposedly some condos around the area, and when individuals decide to sell the condos, there's a transaction fee. They're going to take a percentage of that transaction fee and donate to the community fund, which is estimated to be around $340 million. Again, this is for unrestricted use, okay? So, in the development part, for affordable housing, there's going to be 35% total affordable housing. 15% of the affordable housing will be on-site. So all the new condos and all the new apartments, 15% of those are going to be affordable. The rest is going to be off-site units through a combination of new construction, preservation and renovation of buildings that are already here, and down payment and senior assistance.
You mean not at the site?
Not at the site, but kind of within the vicinity, okay? Jobs.
Why don't you?
So the definition, it ranges from, okay, we'll answer questions towards the end, but just really quickly, the definition is from extremely low, low, very low, moderate. That's it. Okay, so jobs. All jobs that are project-related construction will be subject to the Port of Oakland's Maritime Aviation Project Labor Agreement. To be determined, Operation Jobs Policy uses the 2017 Jobs Policy for Counterpoint Oakland Global Logistics Project as its basis. So there's already some policies that are in place that the port uses in order to facilitate the jobs process. So, next steps, city staff and consultants are going to work with community representatives to design the community fund structure, which will become part of the development agreement. And they're going to negotiate final details of the community benefits framework for the aids. Okay? So that's what we want to hear from you. We want to hear more about how you would like to see this community fund designed, how you want it to be funded, what would you like to see funded throughout Oakland, but specifically in District 3. Because one of the things that Councilmember Fife is concerned about is that there's not enough attention paid to what this is going to do to District 3 and the surrounding neighborhoods. So hopefully most of you live in District 3. This is going to impact you in the future. So we really, really need to hear from you what you would like to see happen. And we need to be able to raise our voices and let the A's know that, yes, we do want to keep you here, but we don't want your impact to negatively affect the residents. So what we're going to do right now is, if you haven't never had a chance, or even if you have had a chance, but we want to hear from you, we're going to give you guys some time to speak with us and Councilmember Fife. We'll give you, let's say, 2 minutes. Now, if you ask a question, we have a city staff person here to kind of help us, but we may not be able to give you the answers. So we have the survey that we ask you guys to fill out. Put the questions on the survey. Also shoot us an email. Our email address is district3@oaklandca.gov. But feel free just to use your 2 minutes to tell us what you would like to see or give any comments, okay? If you want, you can start lining up here next to Justin. Justin, raise your hand. But this time is for you, and that's what we're going to use it for. We're going to probably go until, let's say, about 2:15. So that's about almost 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
Power on, Bluetooth, carry.
Okay. You guys ready? I know you guys are excited to come and tell us what you want. Don't all jump up at once. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Who's typing?
Oh, my name is Lycan. I live in District 3, 2021 Marble Street, West Oakland. And the west is the best. Okay. Anyway, I have a few. One is, why is this form so much about as if the project is approved, instead of still people's grave concerns about approving the project? And I'm sort of interested in, so far, what the council has voted, as far as who in the council has voted yes and nay against it. And is this project already a done deal? Because that's what, even reading what this seems, it seems like a done deal. And even things about like community fund design, decisions for later after the project is approved, it seems like these should be approved before, should be gone through before the project is approved. And I'd like to make comments. I lived in San Francisco for 40 years before moving to Oakland 14 years ago. And I watched what happened when the Giants built McCovey Cove, out McCovey Cove. Now you could say that was basically a outlawed neighborhood, but that part of San Francisco was poor and low income and immigrant community. And as the ballpark developed, all those people got completely evicted, and what was considered affordable is not really affordable. So I think if you're going to make an affordable criteria, it should be affordable to the people that live within 10 blocks of where a project is happening, not all separate, not all local. It doesn't make any sense. And it should also be seen retroactively. West Oakland's gone through some big changes since 2008, when so many people of color lost their homes to the bankster class. These are the same banksters that are the billionaires that are trying to take private property, public property for private gain. So that's about all I have to say for now. Thank you.
I'm gonna not try to interrupt the speakers, but I do want to say, just because Lycan, you asked if the project is a done deal or not, no. Just so we're clear, that was your turn. But you can see the trajectory of how things have gone so far, which is consistently a 6-2 vote. And so with the names being myself and Councilmember Gaia, for different reasons, but knows the same. And I don't want to go too much more into that, but I wanted to answer those two concrete questions.
It looks like we're getting more people in. I don't have any more flyers or anything, but for those who want to still fill out the survey form, if you put your email address in the sign-in sheet, we can email you a link to the survey form.
All right, my name is Rita. I live about a half a block from here. I've been here 20 years in West Oakland. And I've been on the traffic access CBA from the beginning. So my focus is a little different than the other person that just spoke. And my concern is West Oakland's surrounded by freeways. And my concern is, I don't think the access and to the site has really been addressed. I mean, the infrastructure is not being changed in any sort of major way. The rail lines aren't being grade separated. All of those things that I think it should be the very first thing to start, to even think about bringing that many people at one time to the site and then having to leave again without having a BART station exit right there, like they have at the East Oakland Stadium, and not even a single freeway exit to the site. I don't understand how Oakland thinks adding a couple extra bus lines and telling people to skateboard to the site is going to fix the problem. So nobody's actually really come up with an actual solution to the problem. What I see is a massive traffic jam surrounding West Oakland, polluting our air, and that we're trying to get it cleaned up. Ms. Margaret's been working on trying to work on the air pollution for how many years, and that is not going to help. Our health, and without our health, what's the point of anything? So I don't think anybody's being responsible, and I think anyway. That's my 2 minutes.
You guys, can you make sure you speak fully into the mic so not everyone can hear, okay? Can you move just a little to the mic, stand up?
Hi, my name is Steve Lowe, and I live over in right on the border of Old Oakland and West Oakland. Lived for many years in Jack London Square, and well, not in the square, but in the Jack London district, I should say. And I think that's what this project is all about. What the last speaker, Rita, just said about transportation. I was one of the people who worked on the community benefits agreement which I co-chaired with Mercedes Rodriguez, who can't be here today because of her accident. But we thought that this is probably the most congested area in the Bay Area because of the freeways, the crisscrossing of all the different access points to where the new ballpark is going to be, hopefully. And that begs the question of whether this project is a standalone or whether it's part of a bigger project. And that bigger project is the upgrade that the Port of Oakland is going to need to undergo in order to become part of a smarter, better port system throughout the country. And I think that this project then is the catalyst for that. So we're going to have to redesign the whole waterfront, make sure that it's accessible, make sure that the throughput of all the venues down there is working at its highest and best capacity. So the city also has thought that they're going to put together a project called Town. I forget what Town stands for, Transportation in Oakland, something or other. But anyway, it's a lot of money to redesign the waterfront. And not principally just to accommodate the ballpark, but to really make this whole area come alive and more economically feasible. So I think that that needs to be discussed in the context of all of this, not just the smallest projects that are involved in this mega project that would come around it, but how it all fits together, knowing that infrastructure dollars from the feds are on the way, hopefully. Thank you.
TOWN stands for Transforming Oakland's Waterfront Neighborhood.
Hello, my name is Gloria, and I live at Chester Street, right by the West Oakland BART station. I also was on the Howard Terminal Project Housing Committee when it started back in, I think it was November of 2019. And I was just wondering, and one of my main things was for the homeless. We're spending billions of dollars on the stadium, and we have about 3 or 4 big homeless encampments right here in West Oakland, where some of them used to even live in the homes and now they're in tents. And I was just wondering, I was kind of shocked to even hear that we was having this meeting, because what's going on, it's almost, going on 3 years, and we still talking. So I don't quite understand exactly what's going on. And I represent the extremely low income, because when I first got on the committee, I didn't know the language. When they said low income, I thought it was talking about the people that I was representing, but it wasn't. The low income was like $70,000 to $80,000 a year income. So I just wanted to know about, what is really going on, and if we can, we still talking. So I don't understand why this meeting is here when we talked for over almost 3 years and had the Jabari and Elaine Brown as our steering committee members. And, we talked for a long time. COVID hit, and we was in, Zoom, and now we're here. So I'm not quite understanding. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sister P. And I'd like to go back a little bit further than anybody that went, because I've been living here in Oakland for 76 years. It was a time when I was a little bit older, 9 or 10 years old. I could go back to that and I could start remembering. It wasn't no white people, nowhere in the area. The white men would come on Saturday mornings, go through y'all know what they was coming for. But that was the only time that we'd see white people around here. And just like that lady just said, a lot of the people that is intense and living on the street now, It's the people that was living in these houses, and some of them had been living there for 2 or 3 generations. So we don't have a black enclave nowhere in the United States. My thing is, that's where it needs to start, is right down there at Harbor Terminal. And put something for the black people down there, the ones that's been suffering for all these years, the ones that ain't had nothing but lies told to them the whole time. I've been working with programs way longer than nearly 20 years or 30 years. I'm an activist. I've been here and I've been seeing what's been going on for years. Back in the 60s, they said they were gonna give us some housing. They did, but guess what? They took them back. So now we're on the street. So I wanna know what's gonna be done for the bats and balls that's on the street and people. We got living beings. Y'all trying to find a space for some bats and some balls. That's wood and that's leather. And the stuffings or whatever y'all make them ball. Now you got the catches and mitts. Y'all trying to worry about all of that. When we got people, living people with blood coming out of their veins, sleeping on the cold streets every night. I don't hear nobody addressing nothing about that. That's what we need to be talking about. Not what we're gonna do for the things that's already been in the past that we need to be making up for the room for it, to make it up to the black people, the indigenous people of this land. Now, we ain't gonna start there. Let's go back further than the 20 years or the 30 years that it was, white people been coming around. Let's go all the way back and handle it from that point and give us our righteous thing that we should have had a long time ago.
My name is Millie Cleveland. I do not live in West Oakland, but I'm here because I'm tired of the mayor and the council selling off our public land and our public schools. The Fisher family is the same family. While he wants to make money off of an A stadium, he's the same family that has invested in numerous charter schools. So the council and the mayor are basically selling off our public land and our public schools to these developers. So my thing to the council member Fife is, don't give up the fight. I was at a meeting that combined the ILWU union members and teachers who are affected by the school closures. There were 100 people there. We are not giving up the fight. So if you want to put your energy more into stopping this altogether, there will be a meeting next Wednesday at Westlake Middle School at 6 o'clock. Join us.
Good afternoon. My name is Melanie Davis, and I'm from West Oakland. I'm a native of Oakland for 69 years. I've seen a lot of stuff happen, okay? My thing is that, I'm gonna let you know right now, like I said, my name is Melanie Davis, let you know that. I also wanna let you know that I oppose this deal. I want you guys to hear me. I oppose of this deal. As the song say, 99 reasons, I got 100. How dare you guys let one person, one man, have that much power? How dare you? We have so many ills, mental illness, homelessness, schools. I am not laughing. This is ridiculous. I just want to read off a couple things, but I want to make sure I made it real clear that I oppose this deal. I have a Coliseum Task Force meeting that I meet with every Tuesday. I am a member of the Oakland East Bay Democratic Club. And in 2019, we took this among ourselves, and I am the chair. You can go to the page and find out and get the Zoom link, because sometimes we can't let everybody in there. So we need to know. We have to be on the same page. Just come on out and hear what we have to say. Did you guys know that there was a trucking, Okay, it was a man who had, it's a man who had trucking, business down there by the port on Third in, Market Street, to the left, when you go down there. And also, I ask you guys to go down that area. Go down to Third and Market and go to your left towards Yoshi's. That's what they want to tear down, y'all. Go down there and see. I've been down there several times. My thing is that some independent truckers who load off the trucks come and they get the containers, and then the trucks get the containers, and then they go and okay, thank you. So anyway, I want you guys to know that this man had an independent trucking. He's Ethiopian and he takes care of his family. The thing of it is that they got eviction notice. How they feeding their kids now? Okay, housing 50%, okay.
We got other people behind you.
I know that.
Yeah.
Okay, housing 50% on the waterfront or where? Okay, I wanna make sure we get that clear. Jobs, what study, 2017? This is my first time hearing about that. The type of job study you guys had. So I'm hoping that there'll be actually some black people working. Okay, he bought that stadium, you guys. I want you guys to know. That stadium over there in East Oakland, he bought that for $85 million. That was they call that a sweetheart deal, okay? He has a stadium. I know, baby. Why he can't go back there, okay? I ain't trying to be funny, y'all. It's just I want to make sure I'm clear and I'm heard. I oppose that deal, and no one man should have that much power. Take care, I love you.
My name is David Peters. I was born in West Oakland. My mama grew up and was raised in West Oakland. My granddaddy and grandma is from West Oakland, so the roots go deep. I'm also part of West Oakland Benefits for Equity. We meet the first Saturday of every month to talk about the Community Benefits Agreement, and everybody is invited. Everybody's invited. We believe in small D democracy grassroots. So we don't bar anyone. I'm gonna take it back too. This is what 7th Street looked like in 1940. 1940s, my grandparents arrived here. This was a thriving business district. By the time I came along in the mid-60s, this is what Acorn looked like. Flat ground. Flat ground. This is my memory as a child. So the trauma that resides in me, that continues to exist, is powerful. And it comes out. It is a symbol of the powerlessness of this community had in the face of the forces of the redevelopment agency, the city of Oakland, the council, and the federal government. So as a result of that history of Negro removal, redlining, inability to access real estate lending, the city put together Oakland Race and Equity Baseline Indicators Report. This is an excerpt of the city's Baseline Indicators Report. And this was the charter of the Howard Terminal Community Benefits Agreement Steering Committee. I sat on that steering committee as a co-chair of art, culture, and history, and then was a participant in the housing topic cohort. And these are the recommendations that steering committee put together. So this is a summary of 140 or so recommendations that was put together by hundreds of Oaklanders, devoting thousands of hours to a community-based process to come up with, to address the disparities that are documented in that Equity Indicators Report. And so I would just encourage everybody to participate in that process. There are 7 people meeting right now who are putting together a community fund design that's due by mid-April to go with the development agreement. There's also an affordable housing component that's part of that. And as a native of West Oakland, a multi-generational, black folks sued to stop the destruction of the Acorn Industrial District. From 1st to 10th, from Union to Brush, flat ground. And black folks sued to prevent that because we couldn't live other places. And so property owners are overdue. Renters are overdue. Residents are overdue for reparations from our government. And there is funds available through these processes to address that, to pour specifically $50 million from long-time and displaced Black West Oaklanders to come back in this community and begin to get a trickle of the investment that's due to them.
David, please wrap it up.
I'm done. Thank you. Get the money.
It's Delvin Washington. Like I'm a multi-generation resident of Oakland. I've been here 64 years. I don't go back as far as you do, Sister Pete. I've lived in West Oakland. I currently do not live in this district, I'll be honest, but I've lived in this city all my life. My grandmother, there's a plaque over in Ballpark where her home used to be. When she fought because of urban renewal, or what they used to go, was Negro removal back in 19, she fought up until 69, ended up selling her home, or was cashed out of her home. And the shrewd woman that she was, she purchased a property in Berkeley and it appreciated exponentially. But that's another issue. I want the decisions that are made to follow up on what Pete just said before me is that, Dave said before me, is that there are a lot of benefits and opportunities for this district. It's rare that somebody's gonna come in here and tease you with that amount of money in your city. That you can't see that we can't, this community can't. Because I don't need it, but this community, my community needs it. And we can benefit from this. And it takes the shrewd ingenuity of our elected officials to be able to take that and to craft something that benefits us all. Ways where you can make sure that subcontractors include people of color, businesses, people of color, women-owned businesses. About 30 years ago, I had the pleasure of hearing the then mayor of Atlanta speak to a group of people about how that community was able to benefit on the construction of that airport and how that lifted the economic opportunities for the African American community in the city of Atlanta. This is an opportunity for us. Don't let these things pass us by. I want to see that these benefits go to this community, a community I've been rooted in all my life, a community I raised my 2 sons in. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Naomi Schiff. I've only lived in this district for 49 years. I mostly have a bunch of questions. I have not supported this project, partly because I know that Mr. Fisher has $2.5 billion of his own, and I don't see why he needs Oaklanders' money. I also know that we might not be able to control the outcome of what a bunch of frightened city council people will do, not including Carol Fife, who has some courage. But I have questions. I am extremely dubious about the city's negotiating on our behalf a community benefits agreement. My questions are, who is paying the consultants? I remember when Rennie worked for the city of San Francisco, and that was not a progressive person. If it's the same Louise Rennie, I'm very dubious. I don't understand what the structure is of those consultants and whose bidding they are doing. Do they represent the community, or do they represent the city council that wants to make the labor coalition happy and get the Associated General Contractors a job? So I want to know about that. I also notice on this $340 million condo sales transfer fee for unrestricted use, I believe that goes into the city's general fund. And that would set up a situation in which the city manager or administrator and the city council are going to be trying to get that money for the general budget, of course. How much of that is really going to end up in West Oakland? It seems to me that we would have to demand a percentage of that condo sales transfer fee, or we will see zero. I have never managed to divert any money out of the general fund in my many years of activism in Oakland. Thank you.
Hello, I'm James Brown. Used to be in District 3, but I got moved into District 2, but I'm still close by. Want to thank Councilmember Fife for her leadership and courage so far. In this ridiculous struggle that the city is going through now. The A's are not going to stay in Oakland. The A's want to follow the Raiders to Las Vegas. They're going to be in Las Vegas. What they are doing now, if the Oakland will bow down so low that they spend almost nothing, then they may consider staying in Oakland. If they stay in Oakland, it should be because they pay every cent of the cost. Not only every cent, but that they also pay the community benefits, pay for the affordable housing, and it should be at least 25%. With many very, very low income, it should all come out of their pockets. Oakland has to stand strong. Marine operations at the port and baseball do not mix. They are not going to go together well. Two of my friends have already died on those tracks in Jack London Square. And if you add 35,000 people to that mix, there are going to be a lot more deaths. Container ships are getting bigger every day. They need more room. They need turnaround space. You put this, if they put this stadium there, and you can see by the drawing, that's really crowding the port. It has no business being there. The people in the Laney community stop the A's from trying to take over the Laney campus. Oakland should do nothing less. Make it almost impossible for the A's to stay here. They got a good stadium if they would just put the money into fixing that out. They don't need to ruin Jack London Square.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Councilmember Fife, for this forum. My name is Alvina Wong. I'm an East Oakland resident, actually, but I work mostly in Chinatown. And working with Chinatown groups like the Coalition and the Chamber, we see so many transportation issues that are going to come and affect our neighborhood, and we're technically not District 3. And so while we do truly believe that the investments need to be equitably distributed, and West Oakland needs to have more of the lion's share of whatever comes, we also want to make sure that other parts of the city, like Chinatown and East Oakland, also get some of those benefits that are going to happen when there's going to be so many major impacts. As an East Oakland resident, I can say that the A's, the Raiders, the Warriors have not invested much into the neighborhoods and communities, and that has hurt for so long. So if they're planning to leave as well, then what are they actually going to contribute back to East Oakland? And I think that's also a big question. I think what we also remember is that we're actually, as taxpayers, still paying off the Raiders' debt for the Coliseum, right? And not only is the A's and the Fisher family, and for folks who might not remember, Fisher's is basically Gap Incorporated, right? Also Old Navy and all those other fancy brands. They own half of the Coliseum now. They own half of it. So how can they not make it work? I'll just also add in all of this, I think some of the main concerns that we see with the potential community benefits funds is that none of those funds are actually coming out of the pockets of the A's and the Fisher family. All of it is our taxpayer dollars paying them back, right? There's projected $450 million that's going to come over the next 66 years. When is that money going to show up? How is it going to come out first? Whose pockets is it going to come out of? Also, with the financing district, somehow the county signed a deal that the A's are going to get paid back with 20% interest. That's our taxpayer dollars. That's ridiculous. What money is the A's actually going to put into the fund? And how is it fair that we talk about in lieu of XYZ fees? Those are what developers need to pay to be able to build here, operate here, do business here. They need to pay on top of that, not in lieu of that, right? And in all of that saying, like, we have other models of CDAs in Oakland big developers that pay their fees and then some millions of dollars, or built extra affordable housing, or invested extra into parks in addition to their fees. Why would we give these billionaires that kind of leverage to write it off? I want to say the city's been working really hard, and I acknowledge that. And the city also needs to do way more to advocate for the community to make sure that we get the best possible deal ever. The last thing I want to say is that being in Chinatown, kind of like what James Van was saying, we dealt with this when they were trying to come to Laney. And we never meant it to say like, not in our neighborhood, so just go somewhere else. But we really wanted to give the opportunity for the community, if they wanted it, if they wanted to figure it out, we want to support. And so we're also trying to listen and trying to figure out how Chinatown can be in support and in solidarity with us, Oakland, because we are one community. Our immigrant refugee communities have been here contributing labor just as long and have been disadvantaged for just as long. And I'll just say this one last thing. We've been engaging our monolingual working class immigrant communities for a long time about this project. And hearing now, 3 to 5 years later, that the A's are still not agreeing to any of these deals in lieu of fees. The A's haven't even agreed to anything that we're proposing, which I still don't think is enough. Our members are like, it can't happen here. It doesn't work here. And so our members at first were saying, maybe we can make it happen. Maybe we can have some negotiation. But more and more, they're like, 5 years later, they're still not actually agreeing to anything on the table. They're threatening to leave. Why are we even still talking to them? So thank you.
How everybody doing? Thank you for the town hall. And my name is Shanero Balcher, and I remember my mother bringing me to West Oakland to live. We came from Harlem, but we was originally in New Orleans. But then we went to Harlem and we came to West Oakland because it was affordable. Harlem has been gentrified. New Orleans is being gentrified. Oakland is being gentrified, and privatization is happening everywhere.
Yes.
In New Orleans, the public schools I used to go to don't exist no more. They don't exist no more. The public school system is gone. It's all charter schools now. I can't go back to my old elementary schools. And when we moved to Harlem, to Oakland, I thought I had something here. I've been here almost 33 years now. I don't live in West Oakland no longer. I'm now living by the lake. But I work as a longshoreman too now. And I work hard daily. And I used to think one day I could own a house in West Oakland as I played as a child. And now I'm priced out already. And I work daily at a job that is supposedly one of the best jobs you could ever have. And it is a good job. And I love what I do in Oakland. And I've worked at Howard Terminal when Matson was there. I may not be able to go back as far as everybody else go back with him, but when Matson was there, I used to work there. And they weren't investing. Oakland is not investing in that property. They own that property and they need to invest in the infrastructure of that property. And I just want to really let you guys know about a meeting that we're having. I can get my phone open. Excuse me. It's the teachers and the longshore workers in the community fighting privatization and gentrification, a planned action meeting. This is our second meeting. And we're having it on Wednesday, March 30th from 6 to 7:30 at Westlake Middle School. And the address is 2629 Harrison Street. And if you have some ideas of how you want to join together in the community and make an action against what's going on with Howard Terminal, please come. Please come. Because we were 100 last time, and hopefully we can have more than that at that school. And I just don't, I mean, it's kind of emotional with me with West Oakland, so I don't want to say too much because it was like, it was the only place we had to go. We was priced out on Harlem, and now look what's going on. I got a good job now, and I still can't go buy one of those old Victorians I wanted to live in.
Good evening. My name is Oscar Wright. I'm an American man of 98 years who's proud to be black. In 1999, when Jerry Brown came into this city after being serving as Secretary of State for 8 years, for governor for 8 years, Attorney General for 8 years, he decided to move from San Francisco here to Oakland. And he said the reason he ran for mayor of Oakland, he wanted to dismantle this black political machine. What he really meant, he wanted to get these Negroes out of here. And from that time on, during that time, black people was the majority population in this city. And since that time, we are less than 25% of the population. And homeless, we got 60 to 70% of the homeless is black. And our public schools, as by design, while the Biden and Harris them got sending my black brothers over there to fight for somebody else's freedom, by the same time, these public schools here in this United States has destroyed our young black kids between kindergarten and third grade. If you looked at the school board meeting last Wednesday night, on the 9th, and you'll see the report on the status of black students. Black students are achieving below any other race of students in this country. And even though they are less than 25% of the population, they are 2/3 of the kids that's being expelled, suspended. The real meaning of this is they want black people out of here.
Yes, they do.
And it started with 1947, after Congress did a survey on the status of Negro America, and they found that black people owned big portions of the inner city throughout this country. So in 1957, Eisenhower signed Housing and Urban Development legislation. That legislation gave Congress the power to take away private property for public use. Then Congress in turn gave each city throughout the country the authority to set aside certain portions of the cities for redevelopment. 100% of the sections set aside for redevelopment were black neighborhoods. And through eminent domain, our federal government dismantled black ownership and black economics. And that's where we are now. Our public schools, our black kids are being slaughtered by design in this school here. But you don't hear nobody in Washington, or President Biden, or Harris, or the governor of the state, or the mayor of the city talking about the plight of these black kids, what they're doing to black people in this here country here. And they don't really want it here. They want it out of here. This thing is about the same. They want the black people out of here. Because where they want to put this thing now, when we first came here years ago, you know that Oakland got to be the only large metropolitan city west of the Mississippi with a majority black population. Until Brown didn't stop this stuff there. You know, they want black people out of here. They used to put us, when we first came here, they put us over there at Harbor Home, where you see the boat of Oakland is now. The only way you could go in there was through that line. The only way you could come out was that line. The base was on one side and the other side, and then the big train station. So they had us locked in. But when we started raising more money during World War II, and we began to buy off the property here, white people that's in the Piedmont now used to be here in Oakland, West Oakland. That's who used to be in West Oakland. This was their Piedmont. But they moved over there and that place there. And the black people here had a big neighborhood. Segregated, you couldn't go to the Fox Theater or the Paramount Theater, Jack London Square. You couldn't live in the Leamington Hotel. But we had our own. We had our own. And ever since then, this government, both federal and state, city and all, has been by design. They want black people out here. But they want to send my son, my oldest son, spent 20 years, just retired for 20 years in the Army Reserve. 6 of my brothers, all 7 of us served in World War II. And 6 of them buried in military graves. The whole thing is about this. They want black people out of here. And I don't care what the mayor or none of the rest of these here, some of these here other council folks think about it. That's what this thing is all about. This was the thing is about. We got to do something about this, and I don't know what it is. But I can tell you this, America's on its way down. They got my kids over there, fighting over there now, sending billions of dollars over there to fight, to keep somebody else free, while at the same time, destroying their own people that's born and bred on this soil, stripped of verbal subterfuge, and in its naked nastiness, the new American dream said, fear to let the black child rise, lest he become the equal to the white. And this is the land that profess to follow Jesus Christ. The blasphemers, such course, is on the backside cowardice. This is a disgrace. And I want to thank this young lady for having listened to each statement, sir, because we've had people here over here, but nobody said that. We got 90 people in Washington that nobody has mentioned the plight of our black people. Thank you, sir.
Well, that's a hard act to follow. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Fife, for having this gathering and all to discuss this subject. Really appreciate that. I do honestly wish we had heard about it a little sooner. I just found out about it this morning. I'd like to get a few more folks here, but you know, here we are. I live at 12th and Pine. Been here for about 13 years. An owner there. Own a business here in West Oakland. I represent a group of about 50 plus owners and residents called Wood Street Community Action Group, and we support the Power Terminal project. Steve Lowe made the comment about the catalyst of how it can bring energy to a city and you know, vibrancy to a city, and we support that. Also support a lot of what I heard here today, as far as the work that needs to be done to make sure transportation and affordable housing, we highly support that as part of the project as well, are incorporated in, and looking obviously at where the money is coming from and how much the A's are contributing and the developers are contributing. That's an important part of it, but I don't want to see it stop because we don't like how it's designed. Let's be involved, let's continue to talk about it. So thank you again for having this and support it. My name's John Sander. Yeah, thank you.
I doubt if I'm gonna need this, as people tell me to be quiet, not speak up. So, good afternoon. My name is Susan Hammer, and I've been a resident of Oakland since 1983. And when this issue first came up, the first thing I decided to Google was, why did the Oakland A's need a new stadium? So I Googled, when was the last home game the Oakland A's actually sold out? I'm thinking they're selling out, need a bigger stadium. Well, it was July 21st, 2018. I Googled, when was the previous time that they sold out? I couldn't come up with anything. At least it certainly was not known to Google. Why do they need a new stadium? A lot of the things I think with Howard Terminal to me are very problematic. One is environmental, regardless of the environmental report that the city approved. Every article I read is this area, just like San Francisco, is going to be underwater, maybe 15 to 20 years. What kind of an investment is that? I don't think that's worth it. There's a lot of talk here about the community service development. I believe that as much as I do when the A's first came out and said this project was going to be privately funded. Anybody remember that? Is it now privately funded? All of a sudden now it's going to cost us, what, $6 to $8 billion? I'm a little pissed off with that, pardon my language. But that's the figure I wrote.
The next thing I Googled, I had no idea who the owner of the Oakland A's was. So I Googled that. It's John J. Fisher. And the source I went to was Wikipedia that had a category called philanthropy. His total definition of philanthropy is charter schools, like one of the previous speakers mentioned. Has anybody heard of KIPP? Yeah. That is the Fisher family. And it started by his parents. John J. Fisher is one of the chairmen. His mother is emeritus. The KIPP, the charter school industry, essentially financed the person who ran against Van Cedric Williams, who is the school board member in this district, Sam Davis, also District 1, and Tony Thurman, all funded by the charter school industry. So I think anything that's going to benefit the A's is going to benefit charter schools. I realize one big issue are jobs. I have nothing against jobs, but one thing I Googled was, how many jobs does the Port of Oakland support? And the figure that was presented was 70,000 jobs. Now, that's not immediately in Oakland, it's throughout the Bay Area. I think that trumps 6,000 or 7,000 any day of the week. And I've got nothing against jobs in Oakland. We need jobs in Oakland. Affordable housing, I mean, that's, to me, becoming an oxymoron. What is that, $800,000? $700,000? I mean, when I moved to Oakland, it was affordable. That's why I moved to Oakland, because I've been living in Berkeley. Berkeley was definitely unaffordable. So I think that there is, I'm not against the A's moving out of Oakland. There is adequate space to, I'm assuming that's my timer, I'll make it really quick. There's adequate space, I think, at the Coliseum location to build a new stadium. There's already a parking lot. There's already a BART station. It's in everybody's mind. When I want to go to a game, we go to the Coliseum, not the Waterfront. And my last comment is, I think one thing that Oakland really needs is what we're losing, and that's open space. That's what makes a city livable, open, green, open space. And building a stadium, and I don't remember how many so-called, condos or affordable. We don't need any more of that. We already have a lot of that are not even occupied. So please, 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 no return of the Oakland A's. Just a land grab is what it is. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Unjilela Kwamilele. It's really Unjilela Marifa Kwamilele. It means one who exists among the night and is forever seeking knowledge. That's one of the reasons I'm here today, is to continue my understanding of what's going on. I want to first of all thank my council person for your courage, okay, to stand up, because I know I know how they beat you back, but you got the courage to stand up. We thank you for that. And we with you. We got to be with her. We got to stand with her. She cannot stand alone. Come on, y'all. Come on. I just want to say, the man that spoke, Oscar C. Wright, if you want to know, he's a historian. You can tell, can't you? If you want to know more, he has a museum at his house. I'd love to give you an address to go and get additional information about what's going on. Just let me know, and I'll make sure you get that opportunity. Now, let's get to the business before they cut me off. Okay, there is too much going on. I don't know where y'all are spiritually, but the word says we're in the last days. And everywhere we look, people are dying. Things are being turned upside down. Everywhere we look, people, it's your time to do the right thing. It's time to stand up, because the word says, if we come together collectively and pray for God's blessing, that things will change. Things will turn around. So who can do that? Only you can do it. That's why he left you here, to do the job when he went to his Father. He left us here to do the work. I have a passion for the homeless. I have a food and prayer ministry. I go out there and I'm in the camps. I go up there and talk to them, the homeless people I'm talking about. So we know they left out of voting, right? They can't go vote. You got all these people on the ground. You want them on the ground so they can't come up there and vote. They ain't got no address. They don't matter. They don't count. That's number one. Yeah. So the fact is, okay, why are all these people on the ground? We say we human beings. How can a human being heart allow people to live like we see people living? How can we do it? Yeah. How can we live with ourselves? How can we do it? We can't if we have love in us and compassion in us. We got to get our people off the ground. Yes. Black, white, purple, green, I don't care. We got to get them off the ground. This is not the way to live. Diseases and conditions starts out of people being grounded. Kangaroos. Okay, you know I'm a line by kangaroos. Okay, but raccoons and everything. Okay, living with rats and stuff. People are dying from being out there. So people, come on, y'all, let's have a heart. Come on, look into yourself and find the good in you, the best of you, and bring it on out. And let's get these people, let's rally, whatever we have to do. Let's get them off the ground. I don't care what it takes. Yeah. We can do that. Okay, secondly, the thing about the park. Y'all have spoke quite well about that. Okay, and I'm against it 100%. Okay, all they're trying to do is displace people. Okay, they're coming in here running us out. Okay, displacing us. The rich, $4,000 or $5,000 a month. Are they crazy? Yeah, they're crazy. But that's what people are facing and living with. That's insane. But nobody's building no housing for the homeless. It's all about industry. It's all about big bucks. It's always about the ones that got the money. Come on, people. We're not little people. We're big people. Act like big people. So this thing about them, let them go. Let them go, because all they're going to do, they're going to build hotels. Who's going to get that money? They're going to build big parking lots, okay, and charge for the parking. Who's going to get that money? Are we going to benefit from that at all? Okay? They're going to go, people going to games. And you know, this is a sports world. We love sports, and I don't condemn that. Love your sports, but be fair and right for everybody. Okay, don't leave nobody out. Black, green, purple, I don't care what you is. We need to come together. Forget about race and color. Come together and save the world. That's what we need to be about. I hear you. 1 second. Okay, so I'm just saying, okay, that's what we got to do, y'all. Come on, let's get together. So there's enough stuff, but I don't have time to talk about it. Okay, but y'all know what your heart says. You know what's right to do. Come on.
So this is the last comment.
Carol 5, Councilmember Carol 5, thank you today for putting on this event. It's very important, and I totally believe this vote should go to the public. I'm against the Howard Terminal project with the A's. There's a reason why. In fact, before I go there, how many people by show of hands are baseball fans? Okay, that looks like less than 50% of the people in this room. So we're about to take on 100% of the cost, and that's what the IOW and the port that benefits 100% of the population versus for only about 30% of the people. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Only about 20 or 30% of the people in the city of Oakland are probably baseball fans, probably go to the games. This is mainly supposed to benefit the people, outsiders that come to the game. What are the costs? So it says it's going to be $6 to $8 billion. How many people work with contracts, construction contracts? I have, and if you know contracts, it's always double. They got contract modifications, things get extended, and it's gonna cost 3 to 4 times the amount they're actually saying. So remember, what they're really saying is the lowball loan amount that they're charging. So think about the contract modifications, look at other projects. I used to live in Inglewood and I got priced out, right? I used to live in Inglewood before the new, the Charger Stadium got built. And I got priced out. The only thing that might help some Oaklanders is they have rent control. But still, people are getting priced out everywhere where a new stadium is built. And I want to emphasize how many other cities are begging the A's to come build there. How many other cities? You don't see them wanting, Livermore calling them Walnut Creek, not Sacramento, Walnut Creek, Napa. No, they don't want it because the transportation gridlock, the pollution that it brings, the rate of return, the ROI, the return on your interest is low. We can't even see the reports of how many jobs, how many people they're employing, and most of the people they're employing is low-wage workers. When we look at the IOW, you have quality jobs, quality pay, and a diverse workforce. I think that is something to cherish and something we want to keep going. We do not want to mess with the port. I'm almost done because I know a lot of things are already stated. But when we mess with international commerce, we are messing with the competition for the North Bay. If that port closes or gets smaller, think about the cost of, you think inflation is hurting you now? Think about if we're shipping up our goods for the Port of Long Beach or the Port of LA, then the transportation costs are going to increase on our goods. So we're going to even be paying more money for our goods, more money for our services, right? So we want to keep that port active and functional. Planes are getting bigger. They have the 380s. Cargo ships are getting bigger. We cannot shrink our port. Our port should be getting bigger. And how many people were affected by, if you lose your storage space, they want to take away the Howard Terminal. Imagine how many people were affected by buildings coming up, losing their parking lot, seeing churches and everything, and other people losing people parking on their streets, right? Imagine the gridlock now. Alameda is kind of hell, right? During rush hour, people trying to go home. Think about what the A's gain. Let's not mess with the port. The port is a 24-hour operation. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Okay. The port is a 24-hour operation. I'm almost done. And we are going to try to build something that's going to cost us pollution and jobs that are 24 hours for part-time jobs. Ace is not a 24-hour facility. It only operates a couple days a week, right? So I have so much more to say, but I'm going to end right there. Say no for the Howard Terminal project. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
I don't even know what to say. I was gonna say, if y'all ever want to shut me up, definitely have an elder speak because I will never interrupt an elder, ever. So, Mr. Wright, thank you. Thank you for all your support. I appreciate you. I always appreciate the wealth of information that you bring and how you just fought for our children, number one. So I appreciate you for that. 98 years old, y'all. 98 years old. And still showing up to community meetings to weigh in, right? So there's all honor. I want to ask for everyone who's had an opportunity to fill out the survey if those are complete, because I'm going to have my staff make sure that they're gathered at the back table. I will say that I'm just one vote. And the way that I've been moving thus far has been, I hope it's been clear, that I don't think there's been enough research on this project and how it will impact West Oakland. We have history, generations upon generations, not just in the city of Oakland, but throughout the country, of promises that development projects have made, specifically to Black communities and low-income communities. The documentation is immense. And so I did not want to be a part of making a decision that furthered those inequities without understanding what the bottom line will be and what it will mean for District 3. There's also been a robust investment of time by people who are not paid to be a part of the process. The community benefits team has been meeting for years before I was even an elected official, and I have to respect that process. So I wanted to hear from them. But I have got to ask y'all the tough problems, the tough questions, because once again, I'm not just an elected official for West Oakland, for Black folks in West Oakland. So let's keep it real, right? I have to make a decision based on the entire district. And so I wanted to ask you all today whether you think that such a decision as this should be made by the city council, or should it be put to the voters? Because, okay, well, I got to start moving. But I have a position on the Howard Terminal. I have thoughts and perspectives of what I think should happen. But when I ran, I didn't run to make the decisions that I thought were good. I ran because I wanted to hear from the community and make the decisions based on what community told me or continues to tell me I should do, right? And I've gotten reams, you know, a ream is 500 pages, right? If you go to Office Depot, you buy paper, a ream comes in 500 sheets. I have reams and reams of printouts from people telling me one way or another. And so I've got to take where my heart is, in addition to the data and the information and the voters, and put that all together for a decision to make for this district. And that's still one eighth of the process that will determine what should happen next. And I just don't know if that's enough. And it's my perspective that in the way that things are moving right now, and I apologize, Veronica, this is not about you. I think Veronica is lovely and an amazing person and has worked her butt off inside of this process. But the overall structures and systems that we operate inside of in this country are flawed, are deeply flawed. That is my perspective. And that means the governance process and how I feel that these things are moving forward does not include as much of this as is necessary. Because when money is involved and when billionaires are involved, they tend to make the decisions of how things play out in our society. And I want to counter that. That makes me a target though, right? That I'm isolated, right? I get marginalized with that perspective. So I think it is wise and prudent for the voters of Oakland to make the decision. I don't know how other people feel about that. But I wanted to say if we could do a straw poll, because there's some folks, because folks are talking about my courage. I want to say the folks who got up and opposed, who supported Howard Terminal in this room have more courage than me. Because y'all got up inside of this church, where we were having church, and approved and supported this project. Clearly, this group is oppositional. So I want to ask a question, and I want to be really clear. And I want to hear like a voice vote of your perspectives. Would a decision be, number one, to have the voters of Oakland decide on how this project should move forward? Or should this project, whether or not, so I want to be clear, yes or no, have the voters of Oakland decide what happens?
Yes.
Does anybody say no? So can I hear from folks who say no, the voters should not decide? Okay. In districts 1 through 7, and no. I would like to hear and I want to be out of here. So don't have me up here all day. I have choir rhythms. Just one representative in that area back there. Why should not we?
I'm just worried that the billionaires are going to control the message, and it'll confuse everybody, and they'll all just vote.
Well, thanks, great.
Because big money has more opportunity to flood the market with messaging and quiet and drown out folks.
I will walk the whole city to tell people what's really going on. You got my name and number there.
Got it. I'm gonna leave that right there so I can get that. Really quick, can you do it in 20 seconds or less, David?
Yeah. Big money has already flooded the process and is pumping misinformation throughout the process. So I'll stop there. I've spent years with people in this community going through this at extremely detailed levels. I think our representatives have the resources and the time and the pay to do their jobs to represent the voices of the people that we have.
Elected representatives?
Elected representatives, city representatives, elected representatives and above, right? So y'all representatives. So I think you've got that access to resources, right? Consultants, you've got access to city staff, and the pay to do this stuff. We're not paid to make these decisions. Hundreds of hours over a few.
Okay, that's a perspective. That is a perspective. So that's on the no. I'm gonna go to Mr. Ryan.
Yeah.
And then Mike.
This United States is supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Whose just powers are derived from the consent of the government. Who are the people that's consent of the government? It's we the people. President Biden says the most powerful man in the world, but he's no more powerful than we the people permit him to be. So we're talking about letting the people let the vote council vote for it there. They take that little handout money there and they go on and do whatever the rich white folks want to do in this whole thing. And everything in this country now is measured in terms of dollars and cents, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
So Mr. Wright is saying it should be a democratic process. I'll take one more, like.
How about the voters of District 3 that decide instead of the whole city? Because every town we're most impacted. The long-time residents are super most impacted. And as many people have spoken today, it seems like the majority of full-time residents don't see a positive benefit coming out of this. And so I think that District 3 should get the vote because we are here. And also, I wanted to bring up, you can't blame the Republicans for Oakland. These are duplicitous Democrats. I'm a member of the Green Party. I gave up on the Democrats 20 years ago. They're only beholden to their corporate masters. I call them corporations.
Thank you, Lycan. I hear you. So Lycan is saying District 3 residents should decide whether the ballpark happens or not. No. Okay. He's saying that District 3 residents should make the vote. I'm just taking the comments. Cheryl, and then we're gonna wrap it up.
All of Oakland should vote, because all of us, is all of our taxpayer money. Yeah. That's all I can say.
Cheryl is saying all of Oakland should vote because it's all of Oakland's taxpayer money. And so then my next question is, are there any people here today that think if the community benefits package were better and stronger, that invested in the district, that it should move forward?
No, not at our terminal.
Because if there is no project, there will be no community benefit.
They're gonna rip it off.
There's no
community benefit. That's 2006. Listen, the Oakland A's have been lying a long time to everybody. Okay, and what you people fail to realize, in 2020, we searched for toilet paper. And nobody did shit. Okay, they ran around here. The Oakland A's have been duping people for years. Okay, I've been to their headquarters, I've talked to their president, the one sitting right here, I sat down in meetings with them. All they want to do is see Oakland pay for a new ballpark.
Yes.
When you guys understand eminent domain, 73rd Avenue was 73rd Avenue before 1972. Okay, it became Hagenberg because the Oakland A's needed egress for their patrons leaving the ballpark. 50 years ago, that hole was my playground. The Oakland A's, since Billy Martin, have been lying to the people in City Hall. Okay, they've been in Las Vegas for the last 3 years. Okay, they've been in Portland, Oregon. They don't want a ballpark here. What they want is condominiums.
That's right.
That's all they want. And when you talk about affordable housing, it's not affordable. What about living wage homes? We've been duped too long. Okay, when I bought my first house, it was $22,000 in Oakland. My next one was $28,000. One lady got up and said, "What is the next thing about affordable homes? 800,000, 700,000." The Oakland East needs property. I heard another lady say about their schools. Okay? When you have charter schools, it eliminates the Oakland public schools.
Yes.
Okay? There's a process of elimination here.
Yes.
I heard Mr. Wright talk about it. Removal of black people. This is not the first, second, or third time. I also heard him talk about Harper Home was my playground as well. But if you guys knew anything about the Oakland A's, they need more money than we do. Privately financed, the Oakland ballpark will never happen. They told the city council, they told the mayor. We had meetings with the mayor at the Oakland hangar at the airport. We're not paying for nothing. Very bold. Very bold. We're not paying for anything. They came back, a community benefits. What are the people of West Oakland, East Oakland, North Oakland getting nothing? A PLA, a project labor agreement. Do you know if the Oakland A's had a thing to do with hiring people? What do you do with people in East Oakland that work at the Coliseum Day? They do their job, the West Oakland get theirs. Okay? I see them in the videos. But I'm gonna say that you drew that up, not the Oakland A's. See, you had Taj Coleman. They have BS a lot of brothers and sisters to make them think. This is a shell game that you're gonna get something. You get nothing for nothing. Because they ain't paying for nothing. You're paying for it.
That's right. That's
It's time for that government, our government to pay the cost.
Reparation has been overdue.
We want to invest
for 600 years, not more.
We're tired of being redlined in this community.
So I want to thank you all for coming out today. Amazing group. It's over. It's over. Thank you. Make sure you leave your surveys and the table at the back. Thank you to this beautiful church memorial. Everyone saying Pastor Anthony Jenkins, and thank you for coming out.